ideals. We've read in the book how it's supposed to go. And so we approach ministry with all of these holy ideals. This is the way it ought to be. This is how it ought to be done. This is the way a family is supposed to be run. This is the way the church is supposed to be. 5 steps to a blessing. 5 ways to be healed. 10 steps to get up. 7 steps to go on. We have all of the right ideals. Bring on my ideals. Here comes all the ideals and the concepts. And we worship ideals. We worship ideals. We have great ideals. We have great concepts. Ideals. And holiness, we got it. But then there's realities and humanity. My ideals say it's holiness. My reality says I'm human. And I'm stuck in between 2 extremes. The challenge of real ministry is, how do I balance my ideals against my realities? My holiness against human. And there I am, the man or the woman stuck in the middle between 2 ideals and concepts, and my life is in tension. And my children are in tension. And my home life is in tension, because I am trying to get my ideals and my realities to line up. And my ideals are talking about how it ought to be, but my realities are pulling me back. Did 6 weeks of teaching on marriage. Helen and I haven't had sex in 4 weeks. Never mind that. I know the ideals. I know the concepts. I've taught on holiness and purity. But on the inside, I struggle with lust and flesh. And I'm all dressed up and I look real spiritual. But there is tension on the rope of my mind. Wonder why our preachers are having nervous breakdowns, heart attacks, and dying at 40. The stress of being everybody's hero will kill you. And right when your ministry starts to go up, here come skeletons out of your closet. Skeletons are the things that you were dead. And you thought you had them vanquished, and you thought you had them defeated. And yes, when you thought you were going up in life, here comes that old stuff that you thought was dead. And you're trying to minister to other people, but you need ministry yourself. What do you do when your skeletons are coming after you? Your temper is coming after you. Your passion is coming after you. Your frustration is coming after you. And you're trying to be God's man, and you're trying to be God's woman, and you're trying to be the president of the auxiliary and the head of the deacon board. But there you are, and here comes those old ghosts back into your life again. The dark shadows, the deep, dank things that you thought were up under the blood, and they weren't dead. They weren't dead for a long time, but every so often the skeletons come back to haunt you and pull at you and yank at you. And you've got the victory 1 minute, but then you don't the next. And you're up today, and then you're down tomorrow. And you're in today, and then you're out tomorrow. What do you do? What do you do? What do you do? What do you do when the devils are coming against you? It's not just the people in your pews. It's not just the people in your church. This is happening to you. Oh, God. But I have to have a perfect little family. I have to have an ideal situation. I have to have everything in order. Everything has to be right. I have to have a wonderful little, godly little family and a nice little spiritual wife. I've got to have a nice little family who's Everything's got to be wonderful. My children playing together and wonderful. Just a picture of what a family is supposed to be. You know the nice little Christian families that we all talk about and share. We have a great little family. And oh, I've got a son and a daughter, and I just came home from work, and everything is wonderful. The nice, godly, Christian little family who haven't gone through all the ages yet, nor all the stages yet. They're somewhere in the process, and so many dreams. My daughter's going to the University of California. Oh, my son is going to go to Yale, and everything's going to be wonderful. Everything's going to be great. These are my ideals. These are my concept. This is the way that I planned for things to be. This is the way that I wanted them to go. I thought they were going to be wonderful. I didn't expect to fool around and have my realities fight against my ideals and find the tension break out in my life. And 10 years into the marriage, here comes the drug addiction and an alcoholic addiction, and it's coming, and find a crisis breaking out. It couldn't be in my family, could it? It couldn't be trouble in my family. It couldn't be my brother. That couldn't be not like that. No, that couldn't be, because you got to have a perfect family if you're going to be in leadership. I can't let the people know. I can't let the people know that that's going on, because we got to have the perfect little situation. Everything's got to be perfect and nice and clean and spiritual and praying in tongues. But I got a little problems broke out in my family, and I got to keep it quiet, because church people can't deal with you having a real problem. You've got to have an ideal situation. You know, people are not prepared for you to have a real problem in your life, a struggle, an issue, a dilemma. Oh, no, not a drug problem. No, not getting high, not busted for smoking pot, not crack in your family, no. All of your brothers got to be prayer warriors. All of you got to be spiritual. You couldn't have a problem. No, it never happened to you, because everything works well in your life. Everything's perfect and holy. You are the example of purity and holiness, and it started out looking so good, and everything started out so wonderful, and everything started, but now there's a tug of war, because all of a sudden there's a crisis in your life and in your situation, and you find yourself, this couldn't be in your family. This couldn't be how things ended up. This couldn't be how your son grew up. No, this couldn't be you. This couldn't be you. Could it? This couldn't happen to your brother. You couldn't be pastoring a church and your husband flip out like this couldn't be. Could it? Could it? And you teaching everybody and married to an alcoholic, it couldn't be you writing all the books and now some turn and he backslid. This couldn't be in here. No, this couldn't be in here, because we've got all the ideals, and we've got all the holiness, and we've got all the purities, and everything's supposed to be one. And if you just raise up a child in the way they should go, when his old should depart, you know all the scriptures. There couldn't be conflict in here, not because this is a leadership conference. This is where the spiritual people come to get ammunition to straighten out everybody else. Isn't that what we want to know, is how to fix everybody else? We couldn't have a problem in our marriage. There couldn't be no marital problems in here. There couldn't be any wives who've been beaten in here. There couldn't be. It couldn't be. Every 15 seconds in this country, a woman is beaten by somebody who loves her. But that couldn't be. That couldn't be here. That couldn't be why she didn't come to church Sunday. It couldn't be the first lady didn't come because it couldn't. No, that couldn't be. That couldn't be that she'd been through. No, that couldn't be going on in here. It couldn't, could it? Could it? It couldn't be going on that the deacon's wife got slapped up under a refrigerator and now she's sick of church and sick of everybody. Maybe that's why she's sitting up in church looking all funny. Maybe that's why she's not cooperating with ministry. Maybe the woman is, but no, that couldn't be, because everybody's got on silk dresses and hats and purses and pocketbooks and everything looks good in here. This couldn't be. There couldn't be the tug of war, and there the man is stuck in the middle trying to hold everything together, and he had great ideals and spiritual concepts and wonderful things. It couldn't be that his realities have turned so against his ideals, his holiness, pulling against his humanity. It couldn't be that there's secret secret rage in the house. No, everybody's dressed up now, smelling good, looking nice. There couldn't be a man in here beating his wife. Couldn't happen in here. No. Couldn't. Everybody in here is prayerful men and godly men and holy men and spiritual men. There couldn't be a woman in here with a secret. There couldn't be a first lady who's secretly addicted to anything in here. No, that couldn't happen. It couldn't be a deacon's wife in here who's being abused. No, that couldn't happen. That doesn't exist. The preacher's trying to hold all of that back, and it's not working. And you've been teaching all the people in the church about purity, and you just came out of Sister Jake's mentoring class, and now you know how to mentor young ladies, and you started an effective mentoring process for Christian women, and then your daughter pops up. And, oh God, no, not my daughter. Not my daughter. Not my 14-year-old daughter, a baby herself, pregnant, pastor's daughter, came home pregnant. I know nobody in here knows what I'm talking about. All of a sudden you're trying to hold it all together. You're trying to hold it all together. This is what I wanted. This is what I prayed for. This is what I teach. This is what I teach. This is what I believe. This is what I stand for. Oh, God. What in the world happened to my baby? She needs support, and you're doing her hair. What should I be? Should I be the pastor and stand for holiness? Or should I be daddy and go get my baby? If I act like the preacher's supposed to act, I'll turn my back on her and say, now let me tell you something. As for me and my house, we will serve the Lord, and it's holiness or hell. And I'm going to tell you one thing. If you're going to stay in this, but that's my baby. That's my baby. And maybe she don't need a pastor. Maybe she needs a daddy. Maybe that's why we're losing them. Because we are so busy being pastors that we forgot to be daddies. And maybe the reason we're so upset with our wives and our husbands and our children is because it don't look good when you have these kind of ideals and you look around and you're living with these kinds of realities. And you just came from manpower, and you're trying to bring all your men together. You're going to teach the men the 5 principles and the 5 concepts, and you've been playing the tapes, and you got the series, and everything's wonderful, and everything's going good, and you're raising up men. We're men. Yes, Pastor, we're men of God. We're standing strong in the faith. We're behind you, Pastor. We're with you. We've got your back. And then all of a sudden, your son comes. Nuh-uh. Not your son. My son. No. This couldn't be in here, could it? Nobody has any gay kids in here, do they? No, because we're the leadership of the church. This couldn't happen to us. We took them to Sunday school. This doesn't happen in the church, does it? Does it? Does it? Well, why does nobody talk about this? When are we going to talk about this? Oh, wait. See, I know some of you think this is totally ridiculous because your children are too. And it's a lot easier to control a 2-year-old than it is a 20-year-old. You tell the 2-year-old it's bedtime and they go to bed. But what do you do when you sent them to the football game and they came home looking like a football? And you tell you what you do, what most of us do, we keep preaching. We get in between our ideals and our realities. And we cover everything up as best we can so nobody can see what's really going on in me, because we love our image more than we love our family. And so when there's a real opportunity for ministry, you've forgotten how to be a mama because you're trying to be a church leader. And for some of these crises, you find yourself in such tension because everybody's talking about you, talking about your kids, talking about your companion. Some of you are angry with your wife right now because she won't act right. And it's messing up your image. You're not, no. You're not worried about her. You are worried about your image. You're not worried about him and the fact that he is not happily married anymore. You are worried about your image. Just show up at the right time, sit in the seat, and smile at the people, because this is our chance to do it. And what goes on in this house stays in the house. But I want to ask you a question. How are you going to keep this in the house? You tell me, please, how you gonna hide this? What are you going to do when you go through a dip in your family and it looks like none of your ideals are lining up with your realities, and now you're under pressure, and you're preaching under pressure, and you're leading up under pressure, and you're angry because things didn't turn out like you thought? Oh, you should feel the tension on this rope. Oh, pull the threads. You should feel the tension on this man. Pull to threads. Got to stand. Having done all to stand, stand. How do you stand when your life is pulling you apart? How do you stand when you're stressed? Paul said he was pressed above measure and beyond strength, so much that he despaired of life itself. It is in this room. It's here. Everything I'm talking about is here. Here's my dilemma. If I let go of my realities, I lose my whole family, become out of touch with them, and the enemy consumes my marriage, my kids, and ultimately my ministry. So if I let go of my realities, I'm left with my ideals, but I've totally lost my reality. If I let go of my ideals and succumb to my realities, I lose all standards of holiness and go completely down into depravity. So I'm stuck in the middle. I believe this is supposed to work. What do you do when you don't see what you believe? You wait. You stand still and see the salvation of the Lord.
There's many of you in here today. The enemy has been after your home. He's been after your ministry. He's been after your health. He's been after your finances. He's been after your family. He's been after your career. He has even been after you. And I came to let somebody know in here today that God is interrupting the plans of the enemy on your behalf. And there is somebody up in here, every time God show you what he's getting ready to do in your life, the enemy always try to show you the opposite of that. He told some of you that you wasn't going to be healed. He told some of you that you wasn't going to be free. He told some of you that God wasn't going to bring you out of your situation. Somebody ought to open up your mouth right there and shout, it's going to happen, it's going to happen. He's going to do it. He's going to do it. Yes, he is. You gotta see before it happens, believe before it happens, receive before it happens. You got to know before it happens. Though it seems it won't be, but God said this one's on me. I know it's hard to see, but God said this one's on me. Before it happens, it's gonna happen. But God says sometimes it's hard to see, but oh, God says, hold me. Gotta see it before it happens, believe before it happens, receive before it happens. You got to know. Oh If you believe it, you ought to wave your hand and shout, I know he's gonna do it. You ought to open up your mouth right there and shout, I know he's gonna do it. I may not know when, but I just know he's gonna do it. Really doesn't matter how he do it. God, I just want you to do it. I just want you to do it. Fulfill every promise. Fulfill every promise. Oh, do it, Jesus, do it, Jesus, do it, Jesus, do it, Jesus. Yeah, yeah. It's gonna happen. It's gonna happen. Yeah. It's gonna happen. Yes, it is. It's gonna happen. Can you just help me declare that? Say, it's gonna happen. That's it, declare it. It's gonna. Everybody declare it. It's gonna. You ought to lift your voice and declare it. Every word that he released over your life, every promise that he has ever made you, I don't care what the situation look right now. If he said he's gonna do it, if he said he's gonna do it, his word will not return unto him void. Lord, we trust your plans. 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 We trust your plans. We put it all in your hands. We put it all in your hands. We put it all in your hands, Lord. 'Cause you're gonna do it. You're gonna do it. Yeah. You're gonna do it. Yes, you are. You're gonna do it. I don't know who this is for, but he said, I'm gonna do it. Quit all that worrying. 'Cause I'm gonna do it. Quit all that stressing. 'Cause I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do it. Yeah. Though it seems it won't be, but God says this one is on me. I know it's hard for you to see, 'cause woman of God, when you've been in that thing too long, it's hard for you to see your way out. But God says this one is on me. I know it's hard for you to understand, but he said I just need you to trust my plans. Take your hands off of it. Take your hands off of it. Stand still and watch me work. Stand still and watch me do it. This one is on me, 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 on me. I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do it. You won't feel the wind or feel the rain. I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do it, yes I am. I'm gonna fill every void in your life. He said, I wanna see you restored. It's my plans to see you prosper. I wanna see your family healed. I wanna see your body healed. But you gotta trust me to know that I'm gonna do it. I may not come when you want me to, but you better believe I'm gonna be on time. I'm gonna do it. Though it seems it won't be, but God says this one is on me. Sometimes it's hard for you to say. God says this one is on me. Yeah. Sometimes it's hard for you to understand, but that's the best place that I need you in. 'Cause you gotta learn how to trust me. You gotta learn how to have faith in me. You gotta learn how to know that I am who I say I am. Watch me do this for you. It's gonna happen. Lift your hands. Lift your hands.